Good morning, everyone. On this wonderful Friday of our Professional Development Day, you all look wonderful, and we have a big crowd, so people will be trickling in, but we'll get started. So today's session is about engaging students with interdisciplinary graphic organizers using our very own Google Drawing. Um, so I am Rashmi, as you know. I'm the digital learning coordinator for the district, and this is a picture that my kids love. So today I am the space ninja. The session agenda for today is essentially we all use graphic organizers, so making sure what are the different types of tools we can use, and how we can leverage the free tools that we have available for Google Drawing. And that's right in our Google Drive. It's a great tool, so why use it? We'll talk about it. We'll talk about creating a Google drawing from scratch so we kind of know the interface. We will also look at interdisciplinary pre-made templates, which allows us to sort of use what's existing and then modify it, augment it, and utilize it for our purposes. Finally, we'll talk about collaboration and publishing these and making them available for the kids so that they can work on these. And all the resources that you see in this webinar will be available to you. All the templates will be available to you tomorrow because we'll be uploading them today. And finally, we'll do the chat questions at the end so that we can get through the material and then address all the questions as needed. So without further ado, why graphic organizers? We use graphic organizers on a daily basis. I've seen that being used in your classrooms and you're amazing with it. So this is, it allows kids to brainstorm ideas, to examine relationships, to organize concepts, classify ideas, and more importantly, it gives them a way of communicating about what their understanding is about the concepts or the relationships. It's a great visual tool. So why use Google Drawing? Because it's free, it's easy to use, very similar to Google Doc or Google Slides that you're already using. It works within your Google account, so it's in your Drive. There are great collaboration possibilities. There are shapes and curved and elbow connectors that you can use within it to create your graphic organizer. You can embed images in it, and you can use images for research tools. You can hyperlink, you can use it as a template. Of course, you can share, download, or embed it. The levels of use that we're going to talk for this purpose are primarily pre-made activities, which, colleagues like yourself who are precious resources to each other have communicated exemplars of how they're using it. So we'll be taking a look at a few of those, and filling in those templates is one way you can check for understanding. And the second one is creating activities from scratch. So when you create a template or an activity using Google Drawing, you might want to share that with the bigger community as a whole as well, because that's sort of the nature of it. We learn from each other. So without further ado, here are a few pre-made activities. What I'm going to share with you is linked to this folder where I've collected around 15 Google Drawing templates. And so, for example, the first one is that of a timeline. And you can see that this is, you can go horizontal or vertical, and they are hugely encouraged in many different areas. It's a great, valuable tool for presentation. Here is an example that a friend of mine used about Harriet Tubman, and you can modify that to any other a person or an event that you want for timelines. So this is right within there. It's a template, so you can edit it. Kids can write within it, so it's a nice little text boxes that they can implement, and you can change that to Dr. King, or you can change that to Rosa Parks, or whoever you want to include in here. So the next one is that of a Venn diagram. So you have a 2-circle and a 3-circle Venn diagram that you can create. And these are very basic shapes. So you can type within these shapes and you can share this with the kids, and they would have, say, a compare and contrast that they're doing with the Venn diagram. So it's a great little tool. There is a 3-1, which is right here. And I'll share this template with you too. So if you don't like the colors, go ahead and change them. And we'll quickly take a look at how we can do different edits within a template. But it's as simple as I'm going in and I'm literally changing the blue to a green. And that's how simple it is. It's very similar to what you might have done on slides. And it's very object based, so you can, move objects around as needed. Here is one which I personally love. You can, label these and, label the most appropriate boxes. You can get creative with it. You can, of course, change this image to an image of, say, labeling the parts of the brain or skeletal system. It's always a good idea to have some directions on the side, and you can emphasize them with the color. So right now I have red because Watertown color is red, but I can change that to yellow, or I can change that to blue. Just to want to make sure that whatever you change it to is also visible, so the readability aspect is there. But you can change this image to what you want, and you can insert an image and students can type their answers right here. So these are all text boxes, as you can see, and they can label the parts of the brain. Always make sure if you're using an image from someplace, you give credits so that you are following the copyright guidelines. The other one that I love sharing is this. It's a cute one. It's main idea umbrella template. So you can have different small ideas, and this is which contribute to your main idea. So this can be used for analysis of text, or you can use this prediction chart, which I've seen being used many times. And this is, you predict what the book is about before reading, and after reading you can see how, what that book is about, and those are their observations. So this is a nice little tool. The problem solution one looks simple, but it's a nice little tool that kids can, write into what the problem is again, and envision their solutions, or write them down here. You can have one more category of hypothesis in here and make it more scientific or engineering design process as you want. So everything in here is editable, so you can edit these templates. I personally love these two, which is, a story comparison chart using Venn diagram, and you have the title of the book 1 and the book 2, and, they're articulating the details, and you can see that kids can, really fill in these, and it's a very interactive way of getting to how they are understanding a concept or the book and what they're reading and what their analysis is. And I'm going to quickly show you all of these. But this one is the solar system one, which is a drag and drop. And you can see that you have all of these shapes right here. Maybe you can't see it, but it's right in here. And you can drag the planet like that and see where this one goes. So this one would go in here, and then they can write a little bit about it. About Jupiter, they can write about Saturn, and you can have a discussion about that. Lastly, I wanted to show you this one as well, which is the Mount Plot template. A friend of mine gave me this one. I personally love this one because it's multi-layered, but it can be a lot for younger grades. So depending on what you think is appropriate, feel free to use it as you best see fit. You can use parts of it, or all of it, depending on how you want it. And then there is this thieves template, which is something many of you have probably used, visuals and vocabulary. There is end of chapter questions, there's summary, and many aspects of thieves, so that you can kids can fill this up. It's always a good practice to give instructions on the side, because as you can see, when you see the template, only this area is visible, not the instructions, but the instructions are very helpful to the kids. So that's a quick overview of some of the templates that are available to you. I personally love this exemplar, which is 10 things to know about the Supreme Court, and you can have images of what it looked like 40 years back and what it looked like, what it looks like now or 10 years back, and how the diversity of the Supreme Court panel has changed and how women are part of the Supreme Court panel. And you can see Dr. Ruth Bader Ginsburg right there, and that's a proud moment to have her there. And you know, was this the visual that we saw before, when we were 20 years back or 50 years back or 100 years back, and what did it look like? So having that very meaningful discussion is really wonderful. So again, this is an editable template, so you can take the idea as is or modify it as needed. So that's a nice little overview of our different templates. These are pre-made activities that you can use. I also love this butterfly life cycle diagram and kids writing about it, or the phases of the moon, which is right in alignment with the science and the science objectives or the science standards. So please feel free to use those as you need, or you can have a frog life cycle diagram, or part census diagram is also another one that teachers use extensively, and kids write in it, so you have a nice little activity within that. So those are, again, a few exemplars that you can always use. There's a Frere model for vocabulary template that I've seen used in the classrooms quite a bit, so I've included that. Feel free to modify it, edit it as needed. For pre-made templates, it's always a good idea to share them as view only. You would be the edit people, and then you would be able to edit it. You will be the host and owners, but you want to share it as view only so that students can make a copy. So then that copy becomes their own. They can edit their copy. They can add their responses, and it's always a good practice that the students put their name on their copy. And then they share that with you. That way you have individual responses from each student. Creating a template or creating from scratch. So let's quickly go to Google Drawings. So the way you get to Google Drawing is very simple. You go to your Google Drive, then you click on New, and then you go to something called Google Drawings. Voila, and it opens up a brand new template or brand new drawing, like so. We are going to label this as a project that I'm trying to do. I work with a charity called Save the Girl Child. So I'm going to label that. Yeah. And I also want this to be a poster. So I'm going to go into page setup, and I'm going to set it up as custom. And usually our pages are, I want it 8.5, which is the size, and 11. So 8.5 by 11 inches. You can choose centimeters, points, pixels, but this is the size of our regular paper. So I'm going to apply that, and I get that regular paper size. Now I want a background on this, but before that, these are some of the edit tools that are available to you. So this is where you zoom. You can zoom onto your document. This is your arrow tool, which allows you to select what's on your document. This is where you can draw a line, an arrow, elbow connector, or curved connector. So if you want to connect two shapes, you can do that using this, or you can use the polyline tool, which is pretty cool. I've seen the scribble tool being used as like a sign to sign signature, and then people capture it as JPEG and then use that as a JPEG document for their signature. So that's a possibility. But what we are going to do is I want to create a poster. So I'm going to click on this. I want a background. So I'm going to either use a solid or a gradient background. In this case, I want a, excuse me, I want a black background with that gradient. If I want a solid background, that's fine. I also want to insert some word art. So this is going to be Save the Girl Child, because that's the name of my charity, and I want that to be the title of my poster. So I'm going to click on, I can change the font, I can make it bold, and I'm good with what it looks like right now. I can always make it better, but right now it's nicely centered. Now I want to insert a shape. So I'm going to go here, and I have 130 plus shapes available to me in Google Drawing to insert. So I'm going to go in here, and I want this fancy shape called donut. So it's going to give me a donut that looks like this, right? I have some handles in here. I can change the color. So let's say if I want to change the color to blue, I can do that, or I can change the color to yellow, and I can do that as well. So these little handles here allow me to make the donut thicker or not so thick, depending on how I want it. So I got that. And now I want to insert an image. So I'm going to go to upload from my computer, or I can go to image and I can search on the web. So I'm going to go in here. I can say girl, child. Whenever we are searching for images, we want to make sure that our images are we are following the copyright norms, and if we are using a particular image, we want to make sure that we are documenting that, and we are giving due credit, and checking for the copyright notification. So right now I'm not doing that, but I would do that if I'm sharing this document at any stage. Okay, so now I have an image, I edited that. I want this in the back of my design, and I also want it a tiny bit smaller. So I'm going to go into that image, I'm going to go to order, and I'm going to send it backward, right? So now you can see that it's behind my design, so I can go in here, and I can still make it smaller so that I have enough information. So I have my image in there. I have my the visual that I want, and I'm okay, happy with it. I can have text around this block, or I can have a text box in here, and they can react to the image. Now, if I want to share it, it's very similar to what we do with Google Doc. You can get a shareable link, or you can go to the advanced and change your access as you need. So it's very similar to that. You can file, download it as a PDF, a JPEG, PNG, or scalable vector graphic, depending on how you want it. You can also publish it, which is a pretty cool thing because you can just have it available to you, or your kids can publish it as a document. So here is where you go, publish to the web, and then when you say publish, it's going to give you a link like this, which when I place in my URL, I can see this as a published version, as a poster, and they can send you this link, or they can send you the editable link as well. So I'm going to go back. It's right now published. I'm going to close that, and then we are going to go back to the shapes. We talked about adding connectors, filling shape with color, determining the layout. It's all of these are sort of very basic instructions. We talked about adding images. If students need to work together on a graphic organizer, just like Google Doc, you can share that with your students with edit rights. And there are many, many ways in which you can make your Google Drawing visible to others, and we talked about publishing. So I'm going to quickly take, I saw that there are over 18 questions. So I'm going to quickly go to the chats and see and try to answer the questions as they're coming up. And sort of also address them with resources in mind. But please know that all the resources that you're seeing here and on the screencast will be available to you tomorrow on a link. So this slide deck will have all the links, and I'll also share the link of the Google Drawing templates with you. And quickly, I also wanted to share with you the Google Drawing basics. So when we talked about the Google Drawings, there is a quick handout that I've created where you can add shapes and how you can add the different text in here, so you can modify it. I will share this with you as well. And here is a nice little colorful way of using Google Drawing. This was shared with me, and then I've added to it. So Nancy is a really dear friend of mine who has shared this with me. So I'm going to add this into our resources as well. Thank you.